Okay. Bonnie, can you tell me if you can hear me? Okay. I see it there. I'm watching me, but yeah, it's not moving. Something's weird. Okay, I'm moving. Okay, I'm moving. So I'm gonna share it into my page. Let's do that. All right, share. Hey guys. Okay, so there we go. Good, beautiful. It's on Hoonies. Let me share it to Quan. Yeah. Mhm. Share. Why is it not letting me share on my in my page? Yeah, I'm public. Oh, there it is. I got it. Never mind. We're good. Hey, hey guys. We can hear you. Hey guys. Okay. Okay. There it is, and I was just texting him to call in. Perfect. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Hooney.
Hey, there you go.
There you go, Magic Man,
How
honey.
you doing?
Good, sweetheart. Okay. I just shared it. It's on your wall, and I did a few other things. So in about 2 minutes, we're going to play my music, and then we're going to start the show. How's that?
Hey, that sounds great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Yep.
All right, perfect, perfect.
So this is great. We've already
Okay,
got
thank you.
friends on Facebook saying hello. Hey, guys. So, yes, this is exciting. We're going to be in our new studio soon, Hooney, so we'll set a date up for that as well, and then we'll work out the whole Skype thing, and that'll be amazing.
That sounds excellent.
Yes, yes.
Is it me or I hear a little delay? I don't know if it's
Okay,
because I'm
so you
calling
have
in
to
on the
turn, yes,
radio or what? I
you,
don't know.
Hooney, you have to turn the sound off. You don't listen to it while you're talking to me. It's going to be between me and you, just this interview, so don't listen to the show while you're on with me.
Okay, should I call a different number or
No, no,
what?
no. You're on the right number, but do you have the show on? Are you watching us?
No, no, I can't do both.
Oh, so, Gino, why does he have a delay then? He's not on Skype. It's just your phone, right,
Hello?
Hooney?
Hi?
It's just your cell phone, correct?
Yeah, it's my cell. Yeah.
Hmm. All right. Yeah, we usually don't have a delay with the callers.
Wow. I tell you, well, I don't know. Maybe it might be the connection. I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to call back? Call back. Hang up and call right
Okay,
back.
let me try that. Let me try that right
Okay.
quick. All right.
Yeah. Usually that doesn't happen. Not sure. I forget. I think so. I'm not sure. Yeah. He's an hour behind us. So. Hey, Melanie. Hello, everyone. We're going to be starting very soon. Hi, Lisa. Hi, John. We're going to be starting very soon, guys. Okay. HUNI BAK, you back, baby?
Yeah, you sound clear. I think what it was, I had my Bluetooth on.
There you go.
So, okay, all right.
Is it better now?
Yeah, a lot better.
Perfect. So, you know what? We're going to start the show 5 minutes early. So, Doc G, if you want, you can play the song. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Jerry Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is really true, is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Jerry Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jerry Petito Show on HamiltonRadio.net. Tonight is going to be an incredibly inspirational show. Did you hear what I said? Incredibly. My guest tonight is going to blow you away. His story is unbelievable. You know what? I'm going to have my guest introduce himself, and then I'm going to read the poem. And once I read the poem, you guys are going to get a good idea of who this man is. So introduce yourself.
My name is the Master Sound Therapist, HUNI BAK ATUN, a.k.a. the Magic Man. And my name, Magic, it sounds like magic like most people know, but it's actually spelled with a J instead of a G. But phonetically, it sounds the same. How you doing, Jerry? What's up, Hamilton Radio? How y'all doing?
So Doc G is sitting here, and his daughter, DJ Danny. Doc G started Hamilton Radio. Say hello to HUNI BAK. Yep. Say hello.
Hello, HUNI BAK. Can you hear me, HUNI BAK?
Yes, sir. I hear you loud and clear. How
you
y'all doing?
sir? Thank you for making your presence on our station. We love you.
Love y'all as well.
So
Really appreciate the invitation.
I love you. So I'm going to read your poem. I want to preface it, but I want to let everyone out there know why I wrote this poem. So this poem was written actually last year in 2018. And I talk in here why I wrote this poem. So the beginning of it's going to sound a little weird if I didn't give you that information, okay? So I wrote this poem for the Magic Man in 2018. I'm going to read it to you now. I titled it, All in All. I'm truly honored to be part of tonight. In person, I couldn't be. In spirit, I'm here to write. My friend I speak of is made of steel, although a soft heart, which makes him real. He has 2 children that he adores, a son and a daughter. His love outpours. Brought up by mom, a bare-knuckle prize fighter. From her got his strength, making adulthood much brighter. His dad was a war vet, a dedicated soldier. It took hold of his health as this man got older. Two awesome parents that taught you the ropes, watched you grow up through slippery slopes. Lots of bumps and bruises brought you to a place where no man should wander, no boundaries, no space. Ending up homeless in a world so full of crime, incarceration was not far, could have happened any time. This story continues, but please hear this first. What I know about him has made my heart burst. This man did bounce back, like none that I know. A true gentleman is he, a teacher and a scholar in tow. His favorite artist, to give you a clue, a hip-hop duo that helped him through. Eric B. and Rakim are two of his greats. My friend's style mimics their traits. Malachi Z. York is this man's mentor. Let him on the right path, give him wings to soar. 1985, he discovered his truth, walked on in his light from there, becoming one of the all-time greats in helping people to become aware. This man was inspired and also had a show. It was during V-Pen he was heard by Brother O. It was all because of a dream. Brother O called up this man. I was told to bring you aboard. God said it's his plan. Because of that dream, he said, let's go. All in all's will is all I gotta know. Master sound therapist, we know him best. Devastating teacher on radio, the world has been blessed. Tonight we honor the man I call friend for his work in broadcasting for us all to commend. HUNI BAK ATUN, Magic Man to Most, receives 2018 award as our broadcasting host. Salutations and much love to you, my new friend. The Jersey Jewel sends hugs. You are a godsend. So everyone out there, I had read this poem. I wrote it and I read it because I was honored to be a part of that night, okay, when he received his award. So I'm going to let HUNI BAK talk in a minute, but I do want to say something before I interview him. He has a son who has sickle cell that I absolutely love, who was also a guest on my show. And I'll let him tell you, I'll let him introduce his son and tell you about him as well. But what I want to say is this, guys. I've heard stories. Believe me, many stories. Number one, just living life, I've heard stories. I come from an Italian family in New York, right? Number two, from being on the radio. And I got to say, I don't think I've ever heard a story like this man's and where he brought himself and what he does today. Talk about inspiration, and what I said in my ad was to inspire the uninspired, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Magic Man, I love you. Let's take it away. This is your show now. Tell everyone, and this is important, tell everyone in a nutshell what brought you from where you were first to where you are now, and then we'll talk about your story.
Wow, what an introduction. First of all, this might seem weird, but I'm only speaking with honesty. I am the love child of parents who actually was married when I was conceived, but I'm their love child. That's why at times, my image changed. Sometimes I look like my father, and at times I look like my mother, but I am a perfect blend between both of them. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty much a form of destiny, how I was created, but the creator of all creators knows that there's no type of mistake, that all of us are created with a divine plan and a purpose. So, me, just like most other people, when you're living a life at times, and life is going to challenge you. During the course of this interview, or some people who have the honor and the privilege to read some of my writings or listen to some of my sound therapy sessions, I speak about life is one of the ultimate challenges. I don't view life the way that a lot of people tend to view life. If we look at it as a challenge, it's something that we can achieve, and in the course of this lifetime, as I like to call it, it's a roller coaster ride. We're going to go through many different changes and all kind of things, but we can't get caught up when one thing tends to sway one way opposed to the other. It's going to be a form of balancement. And the main thing that helped got me through to answer your initial question is the ability to stay focused. And that has been the key point that allowed me to go through so many things. Like I said, I was, created or procreated by parents who was in love, and that says a lot about the generation that we have in now. That's what creates a lot of the challenges. I won't say problems, because that's really where the solution is at. It's the challenge that we have that a lot of times that when children are being procreated nowadays, they're not created or being procreated in the course of love, where two people come together that's actually in love and want to have a child. So that creates a lot of the different challenges that we have. So by me being able to be procreated that way and having my parents as well as my grandparents and my godfather, when people listen to me and they hear that word sound therapy, that isn't something that's new. It's actually something that's been in existence for as long as living beings actually been in existence as we know it. But far as that particular title or frame of a word, that actually came from my godfather. So I definitely have to keep him in mind when I'm doing my sound therapy sessions, and me becoming a household name, me along with my most beautiful twin spirit sister. We have what we call perfect harmony of sound therapy, which faithfully during the course of this interview, I'm going to speak more on the two of us doing what we do in order to offer healing, much needed healing in this world.
So I want to mention your son. Tell everyone your son's name. Hello? HUNI? Uh-oh. I think we have a little connection problem, guys. Can you hear me, Magic Man? Something just happened. HUNI BAK. Guys, I'm sorry, we have a little connection problem. Okay. Okay, hang up so HUNI can call back. I don't know what just happened. Okay, good. Yes, that's right. Okay.
I think my call dropped.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. So, I would like you to tell everyone your son's name.
Yes, his name is Daquan Shamel Felton. And he also had the honor of being a special guest on your show in Hamilton Radio. The unique thing about my son, Daquan Shamel Felton, is I was told about his coming about 2 years before he actually got here. And so it was part of a form of destiny, for lack of a better word.
I have a question for you. And I'm sure I've asked you this before, but I would like everyone out there to hear this, because, when people become desperate, when they have severe challenges in life, okay, sometimes they choose the wrong path and they just feel so hopeless that they feel like they can't come out of it. Here you are. You were homeless at one point, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Talk about that a little bit, because it still blows me away where you've brought yourself. Talk a little bit about that so you can give someone out there hope.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I sure will. And I definitely want to make this clear. Now, there's many different forms of being homeless.
Yes.
And the best way I can describe my form of homeless is being a former business owner, homeowner, and I went through a period of time where I didn't have an address. And so that's how far I actually fell when I pretty much lost everything, my business, my family, and everything. But I wasn't homeless to the point where, you know, some people who's out on the streets, living on the streets, I was never in that form of homeless. But I did come to a state when I picked up and made a transition here to Nashville, Tennessee. I actually took a chance on love, and you know, all of my intentions and stuff was there, but there's certain things that I needed to straighten out for me that was preventing me from getting certain jobs, and so that's where that particular challenge came in at when it came to me. So what happened is I'm not the type of person that want to be living on the street, so I entered a men's shelter, and shout out to what we call the men's national shelter here in Nashville. So I had temporary stay there.
Okay. So you were homeless, because we have shelters here as well for homeless people. And, you know, just knowing what you went through and what you've accomplished for me is unbelievable. You know, there are a few people out there, two that I know are watching the show tonight, who are also in shelters, HUNI. And I'm just hoping that you can, you know, them listening to you talk can inspire them. What was it inside of you? What was that change that was made when you said, you know what, this is not okay with me. I don't want to be in this shelter anymore. How did you empower yourself? I guess that's really what I want to hear. How did you empower yourself? What did you have to do?
Well, one of the things that couldn't be stripped from me is I was able to acquire a certain amount of skills when it comes to job skills. I am a pest control specialist by trade, so I only knew it was only a matter of time. Now, as far as for me, the good thing about going into a shelter, there are a lot of programs that a lot of people qualify for.
Okay.
I will say that.
Okay.
Now, the best thing that the shelter did for me, it allowed me to go in a place, and I didn't necessarily have to live out on the streets, especially when I relocated, because when I entered this particular shelter, it was in the middle of winter. It was, matter of fact, it was in January of 2012. And this was just a couple of months after I got here to Nashville. You know, it was a decision that I actually made in order for them to restart and reboot my life. So for temporary shelter, I entered there, and there were certain programs and stuff that they offered, as well as the OIC. There's a lot of different programs that can offer people to help them get back situated in order for it to become more productive in life.
Yes, that's beautiful. So, did you ever think you would get into sound therapy?
Oh yes, definitely was a part of my destiny. Okay. Again, I give thanks to my godfather Illuminati, who pretty much was like I don't want to call him like a spiritual guide, but I guess he would be that in a sense, because through his guidance, and he was able to tell me, and I want you to not just listen to certain songs I'm going to put on. I want you to delve into what a lot of the artists was actually writing and what they actually was what the mindset was at the time when these songs was actually being written and actually being performed. So it was his careful guide that allowed me to be able to not just listen to the music, but listen to the lyrics. And at times he would say, okay, now he would just put on an instrumental. He said, now I just want you to just strip everything that you had, and I want you to take time to rewrite this song in your own words.
Wow.
But again, sound therapy is so much greater than music as we know it today. And this is one of the things one of the main reasons I like to play a lot of the older music is because it has so much meaning and purpose. And so they pretty much knew a lot of the challenges we was going to face. So that's why when you listen to the songs of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and I would say even to the early 90s, is when our music started to take a change.
So I have a question about sound therapy. So I want to talk about that, and I want people to really understand what it is. But so it's not okay. So like when I hear the word sound therapy, it's so soothing, right? And it sounds so peaceful. And I think of just music with no lyrics. Is that true?
Well, it's music with lyrics, but it's also music without. When you really delve into what sound therapy actually is, really a combination of four different tenets as we know it. It's music, art, science, and supreme mathematics. All of those really is a combination that really give us the full effect of what sound therapy has to offer. And let me say something about the musical part, though. Music, as we know it, actually takes us back to the earliest form, and it actually came with creation as we know it.
Okay.
Because when you talk about the original heartbeat or the vibrations that pretty much set it off from the beginning, and I know that has been the big debate, in the religious mind, we have that beginning, and then you got people who's evolutionists, they got that type of beginning, but irregardless, we're talking about the original vibration that set everything off, that allowed life to exist as we know it. That's what sound therapy is really taking us back to. But again, me and again, my beautiful twin spirit sister, we have to, because most people are more familiar with music as we know it today. Okay. And that's a beginning stage. But as we delve a lot higher, it's going to take us back to that original beat that's pretty much set it off, is where we're going to end up at.
So I have a question about babies, okay? It's amazing how you could have a baby, 6 months old, 8 months old, in a little walker on the floor. Music comes on, they start jumping in the walker. They bounce to the music.
Yes.
It's innate with us. It's just innate with us, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Like I say, the original heartbeat,
Yeah.
and that's the unique thing, especially women, and not to take anything away from the fathers,
Yeah.
who's also have to be there as far as procreation, the way procreation
Right.
takes place. But that's the beautiful thing about mothers who are blessed to be able to conceive. So the child is able to start tuning into the heartbeat, and especially those of us from Nubian descent, or what they call an African descent, or Native American descent. The heartbeat, the actual drum is really, the heartbeat is really the first thing or instrument that most people use when they're constructing songs or putting musical pieces together on a normal basis. So you're right, Jerry. A baby is going to be in tune, because it's going to take him back, or he, not just for him, but even if this is a female child, it's going to take that child back to the point when they had that comfort inside the mother's womb.
But you just made that clearer for me, because I never put two and two together. Now it makes so much more sense. The baby heard the heartbeat to that baby. That was music. That was sound therapy.
Yes.
Wow. All right. So cool. Okay. So cool. Tell us more about sound therapy. Tell me about your sister also, your twins, your soul, who you wanted to talk about, who's partnering with you.
Oh yes. Her name is her musical name is Fatima Mahdi, or Mackenzie. That's her husband's name. She's married. Okay. And yes, the two of us together, we're called perfect harmony of sound therapy, which is very necessary in this day and time of duality. There has to be, or there had to be, a male and female to be able to take upon this joint adventure, because again, most living beings is going to be either one or the other, a male being, a masculine figure, or a feminine agenda. Yep. And then those of us who are familiar with those people who need some serious healing and help. See, this is one of the main reasons why it was necessary for the two of us to become one with this sound therapy venture is because a lot of people have got all kind of knowledge and all kind of things, but they didn't take time to heal. It's almost like, giving someone with no knowledge of money, and all of a sudden you give them a bunch of money, but they don't have the means when it comes to investments and don't really know what to do with it. So in order for it to properly use much needed information that most people have attained in some form or fashion, all of that's well and good, but without healing, then it's going to open the door for anger and even all kind of ignorance if it's not used correctly. So that's what we're here for.
This takes me back, for probably the last, 30 years or so, 25 years, when I had to heal. A lot of my music is, my CDs are just, I have a CD called Feather Light. It's one of my favorites. And it's just beautiful music, healing music. And, I would play these CDs every single day. And I really, truly believe that helped me heal mind, body, and soul. What do you think about that?
You know what? I definitely want you, if you don't mind, is to inbox me that so I can be able to tune into that too, because I'm really curious, because I never heard of that before, that particular title. But I would say music, if that music, and I'm not questioning, I'm just saying, that was used during that period of time when you needed it, then that music was there for you, okay? And yes, music is very, very powerful. It's just that a lot of times music can be so good, especially those of us who like to dance and things like that, or it can be an artist that can be a real, real good singer. We can be so into that, oh man, that person can really, really sing. And the average person don't get the full vastness of everything that they're listening to. And I'm talking about when that music and instruments and that artist actually become completely one.
Yeah, I understand.
And all kind of things can take place. And I'm going to say something that's weird, to a lot of people who may not be familiar with this. And like I say, the original sound that takes us back to the original pinpoint of creation as we know it itself. Everything vibrates, right? Yes. And a lot of people are unaware that that same vibration that set things off, or the same vibration that allows everything to exist, or as I like to say, all in all, has the power even to feel a hungry stomach if someone is actually hungry.
Okay. So I tell clients of mine, through the nutritional health coaching, I tell them to use certain tools, okay? And I tell them the mind is incredibly powerful, and what we tell ourselves is real. And if our brain tells our body something, it happens. Is that what you kind of mean?
Oh, yes. That's one of the best instruments that we actually have, especially as living beings, is being able to use our mind and be able to look at it as the tool that it is. Because your mind, like everything else, you have to get to know your tools. Yeah. And you be able to use it to your advantage. Okay? So whether you think you can do something or think you can't, either way that you're right. I know that's going to take us back to an elementary form of it. I think those of us, especially who went to school, especially in various parts of America and throughout the world, whether you think you can do something or think you can't, either way that you're right.
That's right. I love that. You're absolutely right. That's right.
Yeah. Man, I must be living well. Up here on the Hamilton Radio with Jerry Petito. Look at that.
I love this. So, okay, what's your favorite music? Or do you have different categories?
Yeah, music is such a unifying mechanism or tool to be used. I love all types of music, especially if it's really, really, really good. I would say my favorite is love music, and that's one of the main reasons why I like to. Those of us who are connected to me via Facebook, I tend to play a lot of love music because love music has a way to stop us in our tracks. And I'm not saying, especially for adults in here, for sexual practices, whatever. But it's so much more than that. Music has a way of not only setting the mood, but it also gives us a chance to really think about what's happening, especially if a couple is having an argument. A couple can be having an argument, and by divine planning, the right song can come on at the right time, and it can make that couple can actually be to the point where they get ready to actually break up. But if they actually take time in between all of their argument or whatever they're going through and say, wait a minute, and listen to the music that was meant to be played at that time, it can give that couple a chance to actually think about what is really, really meaningful to both of them. And if it's meant for them to work it out, they will.
With music, right? I think people don't even realize the effects it has on them, like the depth of it. Like you mentioned, like I love Elvis, obviously, we all know that, right? So, all we know is, oh my gosh, we love this singer, we love these songs, we love the music, we love to dance. But the depth that it actually has on us, I have an issue for me. Like I can't watch scary movies anymore. I can't watch any of that crap. And even the music, like I can't listen to a lot of rap. I have to listen to calm, soothing, good music. And it absolutely will mess with your mood. And, too many young people, I feel so bad because too many young people don't get that yet. And I just hope that before it's too late, they do. Because I think it could really twist our minds as well, right? If sound therapy, because if you have one, you have to have the other. So if you have good, you have to have evil, right? So if you have music that makes the heart and soul just, be beautiful and feel good and, then there has to be the opposite as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying, but I would say that's where I would say that we need to take a turn because we don't necessarily have to have that. There's certain things that we have started to accept, as living beings. We just started to accept everything. Now, as far as me being a former recording artist, and yes, I am a former recording artist that used to record as back in 1991 is actually when I actually did my first demo. So you also mentioned rap music. As I sit back and listen to it now, and I'm talking about 25, 30 years later, I was listening to a song by Ice Cube. Matter of fact, this is a recent song. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to give the name of it, but I will say that it's Ice Cube. I think they had a snippet of Tupac, and I think it was Snoop Dogg. And here this is 2019, and certain things that they're rapping about now, the way that I'm listening to it now, even though I wasn't that type of artist that always spoke about, guns and picking up shooting people. See, Jerry, and I know that we close to the same age. I know I probably got you about maybe 10 or more years. But we
you can't have me.
There was a time when
How old
like
are
I say,
you?
the late 80s or all throughout the 80s into the early 90s, most of the times when we went out or we listened to music, we had that feel-good music that we wanted to go out and dance and have a good time. But now, a lot of the stuff that I'm listening to now is really, really assisting at creating an unhappy environment, and it's pretty much setting the foundation for violence to happen.
That's right.
You know, and I'm just really, really listening to it the way that it is, and I'm seeing that a lot of people who tend to get caught up in situations like that. So music has a tremendous influence over us all if we're not careful.
See, I agree with that 100%. So, all right, if someone said to you, Magic Man, give me a definition of sound therapy, what would you say?
I'll say sound therapy is really, really a key that offers healing to self and so many others. Along with those four tenets that I did mention, and I will mention again, it's a combination of music, art, science, and supreme mathematics. With these four, and I will say tools, because each one of them are tools that can be used to offer much needed healing, because this world, the entire world that we live on, could be so much better if people have took time to heal. I won't say that it would make people start to love each other again, but being able to heal their self, to be able to take time, because if you can't love yourself, you can't really, really love anyone else.
Agree.
You know, but you can't even begin to love yourself without being able to heal from certain illnesses that a lot of people have had through trauma.
Agree.
You know, so that's one of the main reasons why sound therapy is so necessary.
So
you know, and as long as I live and my beautiful twin spirit sister live, and those of us who are really, really serious about offering much needed healing, you know, ones like yourself, Jerry, you know, we're going to offer that much needed healing to the world. You know, that's the only thing we can do is make that offer, right?
You're
we
right
can't make
about
them
that.
take it, right?
We can only offer. So I have a question. Mathematics, where does that come into play with sound therapy?
Again, it takes us back to the original form of creation. Like I said,
But
music
math?
is the original vibration. When you spoke about vibration that allows every cell and everything that we see and don't see to come into existence, well, mathematics is a part of creation as we know it itself, because everything has this number. And also take us back to music too. It's because music also has that math in it too. You got a beat and a rest and a beat and a rest. You know, and this long before the digital age as we know it.
So the science part, tell us about that.
Science which also takes us back to the original point of creation again. I know I might sound like an old broken record, but it is what it is. The science part allows us to be able to formulate and create things pretty much out of nothing.
Got it.
You know, from a spark to an idea, in order for an artist to be able to, or a poet like yourself, listen to the way you put that all in all poem that you did for me that I love so much. It had to start with an idea. That's the scientific approach. It had to start from nothing, and from that nothing, you know, you sparked a thought, and whatever respect or feelings you had towards me, and from what you know of me, was able to take that thought and transform it from one word to an entire poem. That's the scientific part of it. That's just the way science as we know it, that allow things to be created and for things to come into existence as we know it today.
So when you speak, I sense you're part right-brained and part left-brained. I am totally right-brained. I don't have the math or science anywhere in there with anything I do. So,
What?
you know, you just described your poem and how it went mathematically and scientifically. That's great. Me, my heart just went blah, and I wrote it about you. You know, very different, you know. I'm very right-brained, so that's why I had to hear what you had to say about the math and science when it comes to sound therapy. That's pretty interesting. Very cool.
Yeah, you know, and again, you know, from what I'm learning much more about you, and as a living being, we might tend to lean more to one side than the other. But in all, you a perfect combination of that. So I won't say that you might be stronger to the right side of you, but you couldn't utilize that without some part of the left side of your brain to be able to keep you balanced, because you can't have one without the other. It's almost like a bird trying to fly with one wing. So,
Okay.
you know, and I'm not trying to go tit for tat with you. I'm
Sure.
just saying
Okay.
that I know that you're so much more than that. And let me say something about the heart, though. You mentioned the heart. The actual thoughts that we have originate from our heart instead of from our mind. And in a lot of ancient practices, this is where a lot of the ancients actually would say that's really, really where the mind is located at, in the center of our being, and not necessarily within our brain.
Like
So
the,
those
like
thoughts
the
that you
gut.
had to be able to, inspire you to want to write, such tremendous poems for me and all of your artists. That's nothing shy of a genius for you to be able to do what you do.
But I have a question about what you said. What you just said was so cool. So our gut, right? You know, they used to say, "Go with your gut." You know, go with your gut. So that's the center as well, correct?
Correct.
So I never realized, in my mind, I'm thinking the thoughts had to start up here and they went down into our body. So you're saying it's sort of the opposite.
Exactly. Again, like most people have been, as living beings, we have been taught to be so physical. And that's an honest thing that most of us have been taught, but it's so much more than that. Before the physical plane, the spiritual plane had to exist. And in between both of those planes, you have the mental plane. And this is what pretty much orchestrates and is the deciding factor for what takes place on the physical plane. And then what happens, they both happen. It's almost like a mirror effect. You can't have one without the other. So there's not something that takes place on the physical plane that don't take place on the spiritual plane.
Wow.
But it's all orchestrated by the mind or the center of our being. So that's where our thoughts actually originate at. And for so people, and I think one of your special guests that you had that spoke about chakras and stuff like that, and shout out to that dynamic person that you had, which is very, very key. A lot of people who study ancient, science and stuff like that, and even within our scriptures, it speaks about your thoughts originate from your heart. But what's so unique that a lot of times when people speak about their heart, it's two of them actually. You got your physical heart, and then you got your spiritual heart. And your spiritual heart is located within the center of your being. Some people it's 7 chakras, for other people it's 9, and for some others who study higher sciences, it's even much more than that, than just 7, 9, or 11.
It's beautiful. You just taught me something. I think I'm going to start using that with my clients. Wow.
Well, that's what we're here for, to aid one another. Thank you.
No, thank you. Wow. Okay, I never ever thought of it that way. I tell people as far as sickness, illness, it all starts in the gut. But what you just said makes sense. It's all combined. Right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and that's where that harmony actually comes in at, and with the great works in what you're doing and what you continue to strive to do, this is what that much needed healing is going to allow so many people worldwide who actually take time to give it a chance, and I think that we're embarking on something great. That's my personal feelings about it, Jerry. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think, listen, you're absolutely right. We are embarking on something great. And, HUNI BAK, every one of us has a gift, right? We all have gifts. And I tell everyone that says, they're not good at anything. No, you absolutely are good at something. And that's what you have to work on, because we can help even if we touch one person. Now, you shared something with me. You taught me something today. I'm going to use that with my next client. You know, we all have something we can share and help each other grow in this process. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to help others. That's our mission in life. So if we can't give back, what's the point?
I totally agree. I
What's the
totally agree with that.
point?
And can I share something else too while we in the process
Yep,
of
hold on.
assisting
Hold
one
that
another,
thought.
me, you, and the
Yep,
listening audience? And shout out to everyone who's taking time to tune in
yep,
to the Jerry Petito Show here at Hamilton Radio. And yes, listening to me
yep.
right now. And I say this to my son, Juan Ruach, as I call him. It actually means soul brother. uh, a lot of times people say, chase your dreams.
Yes.
And I tend to take a different approach. Me, I'm an advocate of don't chase your dreams.
Oh,
That's one of the worst things that people can do. I won't say worst, but here's my reasoning point. Because dreams is something that's like a temporary fix. You got people that dream at night. You got some people that dream during the daytime, daydreamers, right? So I say become a pursuer of your passions instead. Because when you're passionate about something, it's something that you live it, you breathe it. I mean, it's something that's constantly on your mind. When you're in an unconscious state or conscious state, it's something that you think about all the time. You have to become much more passionate about what it is that we're pursuing in this life. And so for those people who actually can tune in to what I'm doing my best to convey between the difference between a dream and a passion, then faithfully they'll be able to absorb it and make use of that. Were you able to catch what I just tried my best to convey, Jerry?
listen, I absolutely caught what you just said. Wow, that was beautifully said. Because I find myself saying to everyone, chase your dreams. But now I'm going to think twice about that. Let's give the number, Doc G, out there. A couple people were asking for it. Yeah. No, just announce it. Can you announce it? Announce it twice. Guys, we're going to give you the number.
All right, the call-in number, people, is 609-807-2492. That's 609-807-2492.
All right. Wow, that's beautiful. So, all right, let me ask you something. When you were, I'm going to use the word chasing. Right? When you were chasing your dreams. All right, for me, I had transitions throughout the last 27 years of my healing, right? So the first couple of years, it was like this. Then it grew a couple years later. Then, it kept growing, right? For you, how long did it take you, do you think, to get to this point in your life?
To actually do what I'm doing now, Jerry,
Mentally.
and I appreciate such
Yeah.
intricate question that you
Yeah.
asked for me. It's pretty much something that I was destined to do. But when I had my initial call back in 1985, it's 1985 to 1991. Those are some really, really interesting years
Okay.
that faithfully the people will be able to read and actually hear it in audiobook form. So the things in which I'm aspiring to do, even with what I'm doing now with sound therapy, and I got, certain books of, like The Art of Focusing that's soon to be released. Those are certain things that I've been pretty much carrying with me for such a long time.
Okay.
That allow me to be able to continue to fight the good fight.
Okay.
There was times in which that's all I had,
Okay.
especially when I was going through, one of my greatest challenges, being out of work and losing so many things back to back. I was alone with my thoughts. And I'm also going to take this back to one of the first questions that you asked me when I spoke about certain challenges I faced when I got here to
Yes.
Nashville, and I made a decision to move on. I had to be able to be alone with my thoughts. And one of the things that my thoughts said to me, you got yourself into this situation, so it's going to take you to get yourself out of it. Now, that don't mean that it was me alone, because again, the unique thing I will say that I was born with is I'm a people person. I'm not going to be around someone or near someone without introducing myself in a respectful manner. And in the process of me doing that, it allowed me to be able to meet key people that was there for me, that was put in place in order for to assist me to get to another point. And then they would take me to that point, and then lo and behold, guess what, Jerry? Someone else was there to take me from that point to another point. You get what I'm saying? That's just the way life is.
So, Magic Man, we have a caller. Let's take our caller. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, caller. Who are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm kind of like losing you there. Hold on. Maybe I can hear you better now.
Okay.
How are you doing?
What's your name?
Yes. Master Sound Therapist, Magic Man HUNI. This is Benjamin Ferguson. How are you today?
I'm doing excellent. You know, your tone of voice isn't no stranger to me. I'm doing excellent, sir. Thank you so much for calling in and showing such divine love and support. You know, you and I, we go back, we pretty much cut from the same cloth. So, Jerry, when you talk about a master sound therapist, you know, this is another mirror that's also a part of this joint adventure that we're having here. So, Jerry, this is a very, very key point that I would say Mr. Benjamin Ferguson is very, very key to offer this much-needed divine healing to the world.
It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you, and thank you, Master Therapist. You put that right on perspective. I just had to call in, give my respects, because you are speaking some divine truth, my brother. You are speaking the divine truth. Everything you're putting out there, from the heartbeat to the child, to the sound therapy, to the math, to the science, it's all one. It's all one words. And I'm loving hearing you speak on this, bro.
Well, thank you so much. And for the listening audience, I want to speak something about divine truth towards the end. So please listen to the rest of this interview.
Yes.
Because divine truth is gonna pretty much make a major, major difference. That's pretty much gonna stop a lot of the arguments and debates and all kind of things that a lot of people tend to have. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to speak about divine truth before this interview is over.
Well, I'm very excited about that. I can't wait to hear about that. When would you like to talk about it?
Oh, you want me to speak about it now?
Is our guest still on? Yeah. Okay. You're welcome to hang on, or you're welcome, and I want to thank you for calling in. You're also welcome to hang on. Oh, he did hang up? Okay, thank you, guest, for calling in. That was beautiful. You can talk about anything you want to talk about, but I'm dying to hear now about the divine truth. I mean, you can't just say that
wow.
and
Yes,
ask me to wait.
What great opportunity, and I'm glad that it's being documented. And so this would be live and direct from the Magic Man. Listening audience, we're dealing with a situation here that if we're not careful, you got people that is losing all kind of hope and all kind of things. Some people call it faith, some people call it hope, some people call it fact, some people call it fiction, all kind of things, right? But when you get beyond that point of not knowing what to do, what to believe in or to have faith in, not knowing which way to go, we're dealing with all kind of things in this day and age. So my most humble advice I can offer any one of us is to tap into divine truth, because divine truth is going to speak to the core of us. It's going to take us back to our divine purpose and our divine right as living beings. That's what divine truth does for us. And for the religious mind, it speaks about a personal relationship that we're going to have with our Savior or Lord or Master Teacher or whoever we hold our allegiance to. It's a personal relationship that we got to have with an inner being and an external being, pretty much at the same time, where we both become one and the same. It was always meant for that to be. And the sooner we accept that, because that's where, as living beings, we tend to wrestle with certain things. We can know and feel within our heart of hearts, or as the great Geri Petito says, within our gut, that something is the truth. Sometimes the human or the living being, they're so used to doubting, and I can't believe that. That's too good to be true. A lot of times it is. But divine truth won't allow any room for any type of doubt, especially for those of us who is able to have our own personal experience. And this is where sound therapy really, really comes in at, is because it's going to take time to pretty much clear the slate and say, it's almost like a chalkboard, like, and say, okay, well, this is us, this is my life, and this is our life, and what can we possibly do to not only make our life better, but those people around us? How can we do that? Because, again, it's a joint venture for all of us.
Wow. Well, we have 2 callers on the line. Let's take our callers, and then we'll continue this conversation. That's amazing what you just said. Hello, caller? Hello? Caller, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
What's your name?
This is Daquan Felton, Quan the Poet. How you doing, Jerry?
How you doing, sweetheart? This is Huni's son, everybody.
I'm good.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say, I want to speak to Magic Man.
Yeah.
Tell him congratulations on this interview that he's doing with you. For one, like, the show that you do, Jerry, is phenomenal, and I thank you for having me, and I thank you times 2 for having my pops up here.
I love you.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you. Oh.
Ruaki, thank
Man.
you. How you doing, sir?
What's up? I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. And like
Yeah.
I said when you was on as a special guest, a lot of times people question and doubt certain things that I have said throughout the years, especially those people who watched me pretty much make a transition pretty much almost overnight to where I'm at now. And you're living proof. So it ain't so much what
For sure.
I say by virtue of the fact that you're here and your sister's here, and divine power spoke about y'all coming into existence before y'all got to this side. I couldn't make that up no matter how much I tried. You see what I'm saying? And Jared, this is for you, for Supreme Mathematics. Just give your delivery date to Jerry, because I want her to really, really comprehend when I speak about Supreme Mathematics.
My birthday.
Your particular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
go ahead.
birthday is August 16th, 1993.
I want to share something with you that just happened before my show started, and this is the truth. Doc G will confirm this. We were talking about how, in biblical times, the reason why, as a Christian, I believe, in Jesus Christ, right? But we were talking about why God had to send his son for my salvation, because back then, a son could shake someone's hand in his father's place and give his word, and his word stuck. you came on and you thanked me twice for bringing your father. You basically said what I said to Doc G about the son, right? That's right, Doc G? That's unbelievable. Speaking
Amazing,
for
right?
his father.
Crazy,
That was beautiful.
crazy.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh.
yes.
Oh, wow, I love you.
He has
I
such
love
a
you more.
divine purpose. He has such a divine purpose. All of us do, you know, and that's one of the greatest challenges. You know, Jerry, we spoke about earlier, or the way I describe life as we know it, or as we live it, as a roller coaster ride. And one of the greatest challenges that my son, as well as pretty much all of us, but in him in particular, is he pretty much have certain things that was predestined for him and reasons why he was born to do what he do. It was told to me that he's going to be key, very key, in the cure of sickle cell. So yes, he was born with sickle cell, but the good thing about it, by him being a voice into his poetry and your comic books and stuff like that, you're going to be major in a cure, and you taking time to be an advocate is so much special. So again, I couldn't make that up if I want to. And could you imagine how I felt? And it's not so much about me; it's about all of us. But I will take time to share my personal experience. That by divine planning, I was told that this young man was going to come and what his name was going to be. And later on, 6 months within his mother, his most beautiful mother, I would say. And again, that's what I mean when children are created in love. Just like I'm the love child of my parents, Daquan is the love child of me and his mother.
Yes.
You know, and that's very, very key, especially if I can convey anything right now to people who haven't given birth yet. If y'all can take time to think before you decide, and this goes across the board, if you can take time to think and not just try to get that happy moment, but to be in love with the person that we're gonna, that you are gonna try to help bring another person into this world. At least take time to be in love with each other, because that particular being that can be created, we're talking about savior type of people that can come into the world and pretty much help create the much needed balance that we need in order for to help make some much needed change. So
Wow, so
take
beautiful.
that for what it's worth.
So beautiful. Thank you for that. Daquan, is there anything else you'd like to say to your dad? Because I think we have another call. Do we still have another caller, Gino?
I just want to
Okay,
thank
you
you
can-
again. And I know that this is a great show, so I'll just be tuning in for the rest of the show.
But
Thank
before
you
you
for having
go, wait, Daquan, tell everyone, when is your show? Do you have a show on?
My show is on every other week, and it's on Damon Network, Talk Show. The host is DJ Olasky, and the title of the radio show is called Merc City Rockin' with the Best. And it's a hip-hop show. And thank you for coming on last time. But it's it's bi-weekly. It's every Wednesday bi-weekly. So not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday will be the next time of the show. And it starts 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern time.
Beautiful.
So thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Awesome. Wow. So, Magic Man, you are an
Yes.
amazing father, okay?
Yes.
You are an amazing father. You already know that, but I'm going to say it anyway because
Well, thank you.
your son is
Thank
such a
you.
beautiful
Thank you so
young
much.
man and so respectful, and you know how I feel about him. And, when you tell that story about how, you knew you were going to have him and he was going to, I mean, listen, not only was he born with sickle cell, okay, you knew what he was going to do with it. I mean, imagine that. That's unbelievable. And now,
Can I share a little bit of that
yes,
right quick? It's like I say,
yes,
pretty soon, people hear the audio book and they'll be able to read it,
yes.
and some people like both. The best way I can describe it, this is going back to 1991. I was inside of the apartment and I was doing what they call punch out work at the time, and this was an empty apartment. And for those people who's traveling men and women and spiritual people of all types of faith, there has been many times when people have called, and again, my initial calling took place back in June 13th, 1985. But this is going back into 1991 when my personal book of life was actually opened up and read for me. So bottom line is, and I want people to really, really think about many people that was called, be it people of legend, people of mystery, even people religiously, like the story of Moses. A lot of times when people are called to do a great service, they are by themselves with no one else to witness it. Okay? So I was in an apartment by myself when I heard the same tone of voice that people are tuning in to now, saying from now on. So a lot of the things in which I was doing, and, I was smoking and drinking and doing things that most youth like to do, So I was told that from now on, a lot of the things in which I was doing before, that I wasn't going to do any longer. And then it pretty much went on, and pretty much like someone opening up a book to say this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and it spoke about my son, what his name was going to be, and it spoke about I was going to have a son first and then a daughter. Again, this is back in 91, even though it took him like 2 years later to get here, and then my beautiful daughter came like a 4.5, almost 5 years later. But both of them came the way that I was told that they were coming to the world. So again, for those people who's tuning into this show, the best advice I can say to you is have a personal relationship with yourself and your Creator, and soon we'll become one in the same. That's the way it's always supposed to be, and that's the way it should be. And a lot of the confusion that people have in their religious persuasion or spiritual adventures, they'll be able to comprehend it a lot better.
Wow, I just love listening to you speak. You have so much to say, and it makes sense. Let me ask you something. You don't have to give names, nothing like that. But can you describe someone in your life that you feel that needed your help most at the time, and you made a huge impact on that person through your teachings and your sound therapy? Can you talk a little bit about something that may have happened with that?
One of the most unique, thank you. One of the most unique stories that happened as a traveling man, and there's so many people, but it's going to take me back to one time when I started to make a come up. I was able to finally get my first job, and I'm talking about here in Nashville. And then I was at a bus stop one day. I was at a bus stop, and again, by me being a people person, I don't pretty much be near a person without introducing myself. So, I'm sitting at the bus stop, and there's a gentleman that comes and sits on the bus stop, and we're talking, right? And this is what the power of sound therapy happens. So even though we was engaging in, he had asked me a question. He said, "Sir," he said, "I was told to ask you a question." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Go ahead." And so the question that he had was a story pertaining to the Noah story, about Noah and the flood, for those people who take time to read the scriptures or are familiar with the story of Noah and the great flood. Yeah. And he said that what really, really confused him about that story is he don't understand how three nations of people can come from like one couple, and like most people are familiar with Noah, but they're not familiar with his wife Nama. A lot of people is not familiar with those particular stories, right? So for some reason, he said that troubled him pretty much all of his life. And by me being able to look at him and be able to convey what was taught to me and certain things I learned throughout my travels, right? And when I gave him the proper answer, he said, I finally got an answer that I have been searching for my whole life. And this particular man told me that he was a millionaire, a million times over. He don't have to pretty much ride a bus, but he liked to. Is because it gives him a sense of freedom that a lot of times the average person takes for granted. And don't get me wrong. The best thing about having money, and there's nothing wrong with having money and wealth and all kind of things like that, but the best thing about having it is we can do a lot more with it than we can without it. Okay? But by virtue of the fact that he said he was wealthy many times over, but there's certain things that it wasn't that he was an unhappy man. He was a very, very cheerful person, beautiful personality. But as a living being, there's certain things that actually plagues the average mind. And from his words to my ears, he said this is something that has been heavy on his mind for many, many years. And by virtue of the fact that he said I was able to tune into him and give him an accurate answer that he was able to absorb and comprehend in his own mind. So he told me, he said that's one of the greatest gifts that I was able to offer him in our short period of meeting one another. So that's why it's very, very key, listening audience, is take time to get to know yourself first and take time to get to know other people, because you don't know who's going to be instrumental throughout your life and throughout your travels until our time is up.
I'm going to tell you a little story that happened to me just last night. It's unbelievable. So I manage Friendlies 3 nights a week, okay, in Robbinsville, and I do a lot of fundraisers there, which are beautiful. Oh, and thank you so much. I want to personally thank you for donating to my fundraiser. I love you, Huni. So last night I was at Friendlies working, and a man comes in with his daughter, okay, older daughter. She was in her 20s. I don't mean older, but a man comes in with his daughter, and he called me ma'am. Now, this is how crazy what happened last night was, and I know God had his hand in this, because whenever anyone calls me ma'am, then I mess with them, okay? And I say, sir, and then we laugh and whatever, and I say, yeah, we don't love that word ma'am, And because of that, do you know what I ended up finding out about them last night? It was the craziest thing. They were like, oh, come and talk to us, just because we were messing around and being sarcastic with each other. They came from down south because his brother was going to be passing away, and he may have passed away already, either last night or today. And one of his family members was an addict. All this was coming out in this conversation. I ended up giving them my book. They started reading some of it. They were hugging me and kissing me and telling me how meant to be this interaction was. The daughter got me on Facebook, and they were blessing Jesus. They were saying how blessed they were because at least their brother was going home. And I just thought that was so beautiful. But all because of someone calling me ma'am and me being sarcastic. And it's almost like, when God says, okay, you're going to talk to that person, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And we can't stop it. So it's like this divine intervention that makes these odd, these weird conversations happen. Right?
Ain't no accidents.
No accidents. Wow. Well, HUNI BAK, we're coming to the close of the show. We still have some time. So before we do end, is there anything else, because we have time for you, is there anything else you would like to share with everyone?
Uh-oh, Jerry, can you hear me?
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you kind of fading out a little bit on my
Okay.
end. So I was just checking to see if we were
Okay.
still connected
So,
because I know my
yeah.
call dropped earlier.
So what I said was we're coming to the close of the show, but we still have time. We have all the time you need. Is there anything else you would like to share with everyone?
Oh, yes, definitely tune in. And I'd like to say
Yep.
thank you to O&E. I am a host of O&E.
Yep.
I have a show that's coming up. As a matter of fact, Thursday night, I'll be speaking about revenge, reparations, and retribution. And we need our own military. Okay? And this is my show, a broadcast radio that comes on 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m., that is, Eastern Standard Time. And it's broadcast off of talkshoe.com. It will be streamed live for some people who can tune in. And it's also a certain number that you can call in as well. And that's one of the things I want people to also, if you will, for a lot of people who are not able to see me, and I apologize for that faithfully, the next time I'll be able to set things up where people can be able to see me visually. But you can take time to go on YouTube, and it's one of the first interviews that I actually did. You can look up HUNI BAK ATUN. That's HUNI BAK. That's my middle name. ATUN. That's my family travel name. Interview. Okay. You can find me on YouTube and take time to take an hour to listen to that. Definitely want this interview archived. This is my fourth one, thanks to Geri Petito and Hamilton Radio. I feel so honored that my life has not just took a turn, but it takes me back to my initial call. I will say that not only was I destined to do what I'm doing now, but I also have that Jonah, like the Jonah of the Bible, had that Jonah type of spirit where I got away from certain things, for my own selfish reasons. But I give thanks to key people being there, like DJ Olasky and my godfather Elubani, and many key people like my beautiful twin spirit sister Fatima McKenzie or Mati, and very, very key people that steer me back into the right direction so I can continue to focus and do what I'm called to do. So if you don't mind, take time to get to know me as a person, take time also to patronize the business, because not only would it allow me to be able to be there for as many people as I possibly can in this great time of much needed healing.
Well, I want to say thank you to you because I just love being on the air with you. I love listening to you. Everything you say is just so inspirational for me, especially. You bring me back to a time when I also needed inspiration, and I still do. I mean, I'll always need inspiration, but you bring me back to a time when I remember listening to people and listening to certain.
Can you hear me,
things.
Jerry?
We have an issue with, I think, Gino?
I can hear you. You're kind of faded. It's not as clear as it used to be. But
It's the connection.
as long as you can hear me, it's all good.
I can hear you, sweetheart. I think it's the connection, Gino. Okay. Guys out there, I'm hoping you can hear this. But I want to thank HUNI because I just think you're an incredible, incredible inspiration to everyone. And I feel honored every time you say yes to me and let me interview you or be a part of a radio show with you. And I just love you, and I want to thank you for what you do for me and for everyone else. Okay.
I love you as well. And also, while this is being documented and recorded, I want to say something in particular to the two beings that are in a homeless state, because it seems like a play on words, then maybe it is. Because that's very, very instrumental. You got to remember, our mind is an instrument. So it could be a play on words, but you can call it whatever you want to. You are not homeless. You're in a homeless state, right? And it's something that you can get out of.
Okay.
You know, this place or state of being in which you are at, this is my personal message to you, is because I'm you. I once was there, and now I'm speaking on the other side of what you are capable of doing the same thing. So take time to go through whatever needed or necessary programs that's offered to you. Me not knowing your personal situations, but I want to tune into your intentions. And your intentions is to not allow that to be your final stop. That's not your final stop. Okay? That's only a trial period in which you are at now in order for you to get to your next step. Take time to plan things out. Take time to, like I said earlier, is take time to get to know as many people as you possibly can. Take time to exchange numbers. In this day and time, it's very important for to be able to keep the lines of communication open, so you'll be able to make that transition out of there and never look back. And I say this not only to people who's living in shelters or people who's going through all kind of things in this great challenge that we're having now. You got people who's hitting the panic button and all kind of things that's happening. Is take time to don't allow that to distract any of us. We got to take time to stay focused. Okay.
Well, that was beautifully said. Thank you so much. I want to thank all my listeners out there, and I want to thank my Facebook viewers. What can I say? Magic Man, amazing. I love you.
Yes.
And thank you so much for this interview. I want to thank everybody. And on that note, everybody have a really great night.